Hello, welcome to section 2.6. This section is on measuring in metric units. As you can tell by the sign there, it's important to know how far 1 meter is. In this section, again, we're going to be learning the different types of metric units and the appropriate times to use which given unit of measure in the metric system. Okay, the metric units. These are the units of the measurement most of the world uses. Again, the United States is one of the few exceptions. However, we do see a number of places that we have some of the metric items in the U.S., such as 1 liter of pop. But there are 3 ways to measure things. First is length, how long something is. Then there's capacity, how much liquid something will hold. And the last is mass, how heavy something is. Again, I wouldn't worry about writing these down right now. We will cover each of these in which metric unit it goes, and I will indicate at that point you might want to take notes on this. Okay, so again, we've got 3 ways to measure: length, capacity, and mass. In length, again, is how long something is, and this is based on the unit measure, the meter. The unit measure, think of the meter as the ones place. Again, the metric system is also based on place values. We have the millimeter, which is abbreviated mm, is at the thousandths. So again, it's to the right of the decimal 3 places. The centimeter is the hundredths place. The decimeter is the tenths place. Then we have the meter, which is in the ones. And then we have kilometer, which is in the thousands. Again, we will cover this more, the place value more in the next section, but this is just to keep you aware of where they come from, the names, and why they're called centi and milli. Again, it's based on their place value. So the length is based on meter. It's important that you know this. Please, again, take this down. This, you have to make estimates on how thick something is, or how wide, or how long it is based on these benchmarks. So again, a dime would be about, the thickness of a dime is 1 millimeter. The height of the back of the chair, and again, it's not from the floor up, it's just the back of the chair, is about 1 meter. The length of a large paper clip is 1 centimeter, going from the width is this way. And then 1 kilometer is about 9 football fields. So again, use these benchmarks. Again, I'd make sure I'd write them down, but use these benchmarks when it comes your turn to do it, which is on our next slide. And you need to determine what length or what unit of measure would make sense on this. So here's your turn. So selecting millimeter, centimeter, decimeter, meter, or kilometer, tell me what you would use for the length of your pencil, your height, the length of a football field, the distance from school to the mall, thickness of a piece of paper, and the length of a bulletin board. Just jot down which one of these measures you would use to determine the length. Our second unit of measure is capacity. And capacity is how much liquid something would hold, and it's based on a liter. Again, we're using the same, since it uses the place value, we're using the same beginning for some of these that we did for meter. And we have milliliter, centiliter, deciliter, liter, and kiloliter. Please note the abbreviation for these are different. Instead of all lowercase, they actually take the L, and the L is uppercase. We have the milliliter is the thousandths place. The centiliter is in the hundredths. The deciliter is in the tenths. The ones is the liter. And the thousandths is the kiloliter. Now, using these measures, your benchmarks would be a drop from an eyedropper would be about 1 milliliter. A large water bottle is about 1 liter, or a liter of pop, which you're probably even more familiar with. And then 1 kiloliter is about 8 large trash cans. On the next slide, it's going to be your turn, again, to determine which one of these measures you would use based on what you see here. So which capacity would you use to measure the water in a bathtub? Would you use a milliliter, centiliter, deciliter, liter, or kiloliter? And again, use your benchmarks from back on this page to determine which measurement you would use for these items. All right, our last unit of measure is mass. Mass is how heavy something is, and it's based on the gram. Again, we use the same beginning for these, except for instead of using liter or meter, we put gram in there. So we have a milligram, a centigram, a decigram, the gram, and the kilogram. And again, they're in the same spots on the place value. The thousandths is the milli, the hundredths is the centi, deci is tenths, the base unit gram is in the ones column, and the kilo is the thousandths. Now, using these benchmarks here, you get an idea of how much a milligram is. 1 milligram is equal to about 1 grain of sugar. The weight of a small paperclip is equal to about 1 gram. 1 textbook is equal to about 1 kilogram. So, using these benchmarks, determine what unit of measure you would use on the following items: a person, a paperclip, a feather, a dime, an iPhone, and an elephant. Milligram, centigram, decigram, gram, or kilograms. That is it for this unit, or this section. It is pretty quick. Again, the key is the benchmarks and the units of measure. We use gram for mass, liter for capacity, and length we use the meter. We only have 36 days until Halloween, and we have one more section left in Chapter 2. It looks like we will probably be having a test possibly Friday, or it might be on Monday the following week. Enjoy!